Welcome to another edition of SMB Deal of the Day. Today we're going to look at a machinery manufacturer and replacements parts company. If we look at the business, let's start by just a quick disclaimer, just a reminder. With everything with SMB, this stuff is risky and there's a chance you lose all of your money put in. Make sure you talk to professional advisors before you make a decision and make sure you do your research. All right, let's dive in. Today's listing comes from the guys over at Sunbelt Brokers. Putting this here in case you want to go find the deal directly yourself. Our goal with these is really just to review compelling deals online and see where it takes us from there. Going into the company, if you think about this business, what do they actually do, right? And I think let's start with defining it. So, machine and replacement manufacturers specialize in the production and sale of machinery and equipment to other manufacturers, right? So these guys will build out custom equipment and industrial equipment for folks that work in different industries, and over time add on to those different products, provide maintenance to those products, and bring out new products when it's the right time. This company specifically focuses on bag machines, carpet manufacturing equipment, and textile products. There's a lot of different buckets in those, as manufacturing is huge. But think of bag machines as anything like a shopping bag or something with a pouch in it that needs to be kind of seamed together. Carpet manufacturing, traditional carpets and rugs require a specific machine to put those together. And then textile products can be anywhere from clothes all the way to, upholstery, home goods, stuff like that. This specific business, to get into more about this actual business, the company was first established 50 plus years ago. It first opened its doors in 1947. So really, really long, outstanding business that's been around for, multiple market cycles. They have an excellent reputation for building custom equipment and general machining needs with a really established customer base. The owner is in his 80s and is ready to retire, so fits that silver tsunami bucket that a lot of searchers are looking for. And the company boasts a strong staff of 28 full-time employees, all trained up and operating well at this point, as the owner looks for a new buyer. If we look at the financial summary of this deal, the business throws off just over $900K in annual cash flow. The price listed on the listing is $5 million. If you do some simple math there, it comes out to a 5.3x acquisition multiple, but it's important to note that the seller's price of $5 million includes $2.5 million of real estate. When real estate's involved in these deals, a lot of times folks up front will negotiate with the seller as the buyer to figure out what to do about the real estate, whether the owner keeps it or it's included in the purchase price is up to negotiation during the process. But if you do want to take a look at this business and back out the 2.5 and say, okay, let's assume we look at just the business price minus the $2.5 million of real estate, you get to an overall seller's price of $2.5 million. On that number, if you look at the 948K, your acquisition multiple is 2.6x, which is more in line with the comps that are on BizBuySell and on other industry sources that you can find. So when you're thinking about it, 5.3 listed with the real estate, but 2.6 without the real estate. Important to look at both of those. The other key difference being here is that, from my understanding and from those who work in the industry, you can extend the amortization of your SBA loan to a longer period of time if you do acquire the real estate, right? So under traditional SBA acquisition rules, your loan will be amortized over 10 years, and you have to pay that back in 10 years. If you include real estate, you have the option to go up to 25 years on the overall financing of the SBA. So something to think about as you're going through the process. What types of products and services does this company offer? When you think about how they approach their customer base, one of the main ways they do so is designing and manufacturing critical replacement parts for custom equipment and general machining needs, right? So if I am a rug maker and my rug machine breaks down, I go to these folks and say, hey, that custom part that you made me 3-4 years ago no longer works. Let's talk about what we can do there. And that leads to our second product and service that they have of retrofitting and upgrading services to modernize older machines. So if you think about the business, right, they have one, the initial sale of the machinery, and then two, when it breaks down, hey, I want to either upgrade or retrofit or make some changes to this or modify this existing machinery to modernize it and bring it up to speed. That business also goes to a company like this. So designing and manufacturing, retrofitting and upgrading, and then also just offering custom engineering solutions to modify anything they have on site. How does the company actually make money? When you look at it that way, machine sales is number one. So selling individual or systems of machines to groups of people provides you your first paycheck as the business from a product standpoint in terms of earning revenue dollars. Replacement parts would be number two. So after you make that initial sale, staying in touch with that manufacturer over time and providing any replacement parts or upgrades for worn out parts that need to be upgraded, they'll come back to you if you were the initial person that sold them the equipment. And then number three, some recurring contract revenue there in terms of service and maintenance. You have to go out and service the machines to make sure they're up to code, make sure they're up to compliance. And then for that, you can charge an annual rate to your customers to make sure that the upkeep's being taken care of. Okay, so how much would it be for me to buy this business, right? If I was looking at this. So at a $5 million ask price, let's assume the seller here gets the full $5 million amount, assuming 90% down on an SBA loan and 10% equity. And you would be able to purchase a business of this size with as little as 5% down for $250K. Now that number might change if you're required to put down 10% or 20%, obviously. Right here, we're just assuming what's the lowest number that we think we can apply to purchase this business with, and it would be 5% down at $250K. Now looking at how much cash can we get from the deal post-close, you'll put $250K down up front, assuming a 25-year SBA payment because you are purchasing the deal at $5 million and it's able to be amortized over 25 years. Your overall yearly cash after debt payment to yourself, right, of $948 minus the $529 that you pay in annual debt would be around estimated $418,000. So this is all rough math. It's just to give a quick overview pre-LOI of all of this stuff, but you would be able to theoretically acquire a business of this size for $250K down and then be able to pay that off in the first year and going forward generate a little over $400K and growing as you pay down the debt, assuming that everything goes smoothly. What are some reasons that I would want to do the deal? What are some investment highlights? One thing about this business to like is that it's very recession resistant, right? Alliteration. If you think about a business that's been around for 50 plus years, they've survived through the financial crisis, through the dot-com bubble, through whatever COVID was, through the 70s, through, the 50s, the 60s, all these different generations that are even way before I was born. And it's still around today. So very, very long-standing business with an established customer base that you can work with and knows this company does good quality work. So the idea here is to understand better the customer base over time during due diligence, but just knowing going in, you're buying a very high quality business because only 25% of businesses last longer than 10 years. And this thing's been around for 50 plus years. And the third thing I like, is that it's an owner retiring in the silver tsunami demographic. That seems to be popular for a lot of searchers. So the owner's 80 plus years old here. There's a natural fit for a sale. There is some technical needs on some manufacturing businesses like this. So they'll definitely want to make sure that they're handing off their legacy to someone who can really come into the business and add some value. but also understand that it's from a seller standpoint, of a natural seller standpoint, that this is an established business that's been around for a while, and it's merely the owner's time for him to go and enjoy the rest of his life and make a nice transition agreement with the new buyer. But just keep in mind with that, you will be competing against a lot of strategics and others in the space who are looking for this type of deal. Things to look for are investment risks, a reason why not to do the deal. Number one would be CapEx reinvestment. You haven't understood, or you haven't had the chance to look under the books of this actual deal. We're just doing high level financials here. But if you were to look under the hood, you want to make sure that the proper reinvestment's been made in the business, especially with CapEx heavy businesses where machines and equipment purchases are important. You want to make sure the business has been reinvesting in itself properly and there's modern machines in place, and that you're not buying older machines. The business has been around for 50 plus years, but over that time, I'm sure they made a number of updates to the underlying equipment base. But you definitely would want to understand better how old the current equipment is and what CapEx would be needed to update that. And number two, another investment risk to think about is competition. With manufacturing, you can have competition from the manufacturer down the street, nationally, internationally. So do your homework there in terms of, during diligence, understand, okay, this is what we've done well for 50 plus years. What can come in and cause us some problems in terms of going forward and maintaining the business? And then here, we just put a few example due diligence questions for folks just to throw out there to start. Number one would be the real estate. Understand if it can be sold separately or it has to be part of the package. Ask for, historical financials as you would for any deal. And here, just take a really long look at the margin profile. So understand better, hey, I'm going to be running a manufacturing company. Margins in that industry can be razor sharp because there's a lot of competition for new customers, right? So look at the margins over the last 3 to 5 years and try to understand really well how this business did leading up to COVID, through COVID, and afterwards, just to understand where the financials are that you're buying it at. Customer concentration, we touched on before, but make sure to ask about different major customers and define the relationship with those customers over time. Have they renewed their contract for multiple years in a row? Are they one-time customers? Trying to figure out the mix going into diligence. Competitive positioning, we mentioned it before, competition in manufacturing is fierce, so just understand that a little bit better, who your actual direct competitors are. And specifically for them, look at the industries that they work on, and then also geographically, right? And understand who's in the area. Regulatory, understand better if the company's up to local code and safety and environmental. There's a lot of different regulatory codes that come with these manufacturers. Customer retention rates, analyze and look at, historical customer rates, understand those better. And then management and employees, just understand who's in charge, who's been there, and who will stay on going forward. So that's just a quick overview of that deal today. Again, with these, there's a lot more work to do. It's just sort of an initial look at some interesting companies, and we'll try and do more of these going forward. Here's a listing for anyone who wants to take a direct look, and we'll make sure to drop it in the comments. Thank you.